video is sponsored by Supply Handlers. The World Cup is the biggest stage in football, 48 nations, billions of eyes, and a tournament that only comes around every 4 years. But in over 90 years of history, there are records sitting in the books so extreme, so completely removed from what modern football looks like, that no matter how many more tournaments we watch, they'll still be standing long after we're gone. These aren't just impressive numbers. Some of these things should have been impossible to begin with.
Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favourites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. The deal runs only until the end of May. Goal90 bundle deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal90 Shop.
1. Most goals scored in a single tournament. We have to start here. 1958, Sweden. A French striker named Just Fontaine steps onto the World Cup stage as a last-minute squad inclusion. So lightly regarded that his boots had broken in training, forcing him to play the entire tournament in a borrowed pair. And yet, over 6 matches, Fontaine did something that 66 years and 16 World Cups later, nobody has come within 5 goals of matching. He scored 13 goals in a single tournament. For context, the entire Argentina squad, the reigning world champions, scored 15 goals across 7 matches at Qatar 2022. Fontaine scored 13 in 6. He finished with a hat-trick in the opener, 2 more in a loss to Yugoslavia, and saved the most outrageous display for last, 4 goals in the 3rd place playoff against West Germany. He could have scored 5 but waved away the penalty. In a 2006 interview, he was blunt. "Beating my record, I don't think it can ever be done. He has to score 2 goals per game over 7 games. The Golden Boot these days goes to whoever can get 5 or 6. 13 is a different universe entirely." 2. The oldest goal scorer. If Fontaine's record is about volume, the next one is about something far harder to explain: time. Roger Milla, Cameroon. The man retired from international football in 1987 at 35. Career over. And then he came back twice. He returned for the 1990 World Cup at 38 and became one of the iconic figures of the tournament, his corner flag dance celebration entering football folklore. But 4 years later, he came back again. At 42 years and 39 days old, Roger Milla stepped onto a World Cup pitch and scored. He remains the only player over 40 to ever score at this tournament. With 2026 underway, the oldest outfield player is Cristiano Ronaldo at 41, and even his extraordinary longevity hasn't gotten near what Milla pulled off. That record isn't under threat, as it is unlikely that Ronaldo will return in 2030. 3. The oldest player to feature. Staying on the theme of age, Egypt's Essam El Hadary at Russia 2018 didn't just play in a World Cup at 45 years and 161 days old, he saved a penalty doing it. Starting against Saudi Arabia in a dead rubber match, having sat on the bench for Egypt's previous 2 games, El Hadary became the oldest player in World Cup history by a margin that left the previous record holder, Colombia's Farid Mondragon, at 43 miles behind. He then dived to his right and tipped a spot kick onto the woodwork. He told reporters afterwards, "I'm really so happy. I'm the happiest person in the world to set this record." Stepping into a World Cup cold at 45 and saving a penalty on the biggest stage. The game moves too fast now. The demands are too brutal. This ceiling won't be touched. 4. The youngest player to score in the final, from the oldest to the youngest, and this one belongs to a name that needs no introduction. 1958 World Cup Final, Brazil versus Sweden. The game was 55 minutes old when Pelé, at just 17 years and 249 days old, received a cross, controlled the ball on his chest, flicked it over the defender so it never touched the ground, and volleyed it into the corner of the net. Swedish defender Sigvard Parling said afterwards, "When Pelé scored that goal, I have to be honest, I felt like applauding." He added a second late on. Youngest scorer in a World Cup final. Kylian Mbappe became only the 2nd teenager to score in a final when he netted in 2018 at 19. Lamine Yamal, one of the most exciting young players alive right now, is 18 and would be 19 by the time the 2026 final comes around. Pelé was 17 years and 249 days. That gap doesn't close. 5. most World Cup tournaments as coach. Carlos Alberto Parreira holds the unbelievable record of coaching in 6 different World Cups. The Brazilian mastermind guided Kuwait, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and his native Brazil, famously leading them to glory in 1994. Given the cutthroat instability of modern football management, repeating this kind of international longevity seems almost impossible today, as Deschamps, who is the longest serving currently, will be on his 4th and final World Cup as France boss. 6. 3 yellow cards in a match. Now for one that belongs in a different category altogether, the genuinely bizarre. Germany 2006, group stage Croatia versus Australia. English referee Graham Poll, one of the most respected officials in the world, was expected to handle matches deep into that tournament. Then Josip Šimunić happened. Poll showed Šimunić a yellow card in the 61st minute, then another in the 90th, and didn't send him off. The reason? Šimunić was Croatian but born and raised in Australia and spoke with a strong Australian accent. In the chaos of the game, Poll had written that first booking under the wrong column in his notebook. The error only came to light in the 93rd minute when Šimunić confronted Poll at the final whistle and received a 3rd yellow card, then the red. 3 yellows, 1 player, 1 game. Poll flew home shortly after, his international career effectively over. With VAR reviewing every major incident in real time today, this record is physically impossible to replicate. It's locked in history permanently. 7. The most goals scored in a single game. From the bizarre to the supernatural, 1994 World Cup, Russia versus Cameroon. Both sides were already eliminated. Oleg Salenko scored 5 goals. 5. He opened the scoring early, added 2 more either side of half-time, and completed the haul in the 72nd and 75th minutes. Russia won 6-1. What makes this even more surreal is that Salenko's 6 total goals in that tournament represent every single goal he ever scored for Russia at international level, across just 8 caps. That match was his last for the national team. Even legends like Pelé and Maradona never scored 5 in a World Cup game. With the defensive organisation and high-press structures that define modern international football, getting 5 past any team in a single match is simply not the world we live in anymore. 8. The most goals scored in a losing game. And if Salenko's 5 goals in a winning game feels extraordinary, consider what Ernst Wilimowski did in 1938, Poland versus Brazil. Wilimowski, a red-haired Polish striker with 6 toes on his right foot, which he believed brought him luck, scored 4 goals. His team still lost 6-5. He remains the only player in World Cup history to score 4 in a match and finish on the losing side, a record nobody has threatened since. Poland were trailing 3-1 at half-time. Wilimowski pulled it back with a second-half hat-trick to make it 4-4, added his 4th in extra time as a consolation in a 6-5 defeat. In an era where modern World Cup games rarely see more than 3 goals combined, a player scoring 4 in a losing side doesn't just seem unlikely, it seems fictional. 9. The fastest goal scored. Now for a record where the number isn't goals or ages but seconds. The 2002 World Cup, 3rd place playoff, Turkey versus South Korea. The game was 10.8 seconds old, officially rounded to 11, when Hakan Şükür slotted home after South Korea's captain lost the ball immediately from kickoff. Fastest goal in World Cup history. The second fastest is 15 seconds, set back in 1962. For this record to fall, a player would need to receive the ball and score before 11 seconds have elapsed, meaning an immediate defensive collapse at kickoff, a perfect pass, and an ice-cold finish before the stadium has even processed that play has started. Everything about modern football makes those first 10 seconds less chaotic, not more. This one won't move. 10. The highest attendance for a game. And then there is the record that nothing on earth could ever touch. 1950, Maracanã Stadium, Rio de Janeiro. The deciding match of the World Cup, Brazil versus Uruguay. Official paid attendance, 173,850. But the real figure? Estimates range up to 199,000 and beyond, with thousands having scaled walls to get inside. The local newspaper O Mundo had printed the headline that morning declaring Brazil world champions before the game was even played. Brazil had already commissioned 22 gold medals inscribed with the squad's names. Uruguay won 2-1. The Maracanã now holds 78,000 in its all-seater configuration. No modern stadium anywhere on earth will ever legally pack 174,000 people in for a football match. This record isn't in danger from a better team or a faster striker. It's protected by concrete and time itself. These records aren't just impressive, they're proof that football has produced moments so singular that the modern game has no chance left to repeat them. The 2026 World Cup will produce its own history, but these? They'll likely be in the history books forever. Do you think any of these records can ever be toppled? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. See you next time. Bye.